Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you all doing? My name is Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel. To be honest with you, I am pretty blown away with the timing of me sitting down here today to talk to you about this particular subject on this day, because it really has not been planned this way, but I can see the absolute perfection in the timing of it. And I'm sure it's down to my guide, Archangel Chamuel, who is known as the Grand Master of Time, and my own higher self. I'll put my own higher self into the equation as well. But why I'm saying that is that this video is going to be exploring themes around self-worth, self-value, how much importance you place upon yourself, how integrated and healed you are with regards to aspects of yourself from the past, and why this is all coming about. And we're doing this a week before Easter, which is another portal of awakening and upgrade. But right now, this weekend, we are ending a 40-day period where Venus has been retrograde, and it's going to start to go direct. And it goes direct around the same time as the full moon in Libra. Libra, of course, the scales, is all about getting the balance back. This 40-day period that we've just been through has been one of the most profound opportunities for growth. And I think sometimes it's only when you look back that you start to truly understand the extent of that growth. And it's almost as though it starts to make sense when you look back at something. Hindsight is a great thing, isn't it? I also would like to say something about portals generally, whether they be a period of time astrologically linked into, for example, a retrograde motion or a full moon or a new moon or any other type of portal or upgrade. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that catch you by surprise, the ones that you hadn't been expecting to really deliver anything, weren't even on your radar. But for whatever reason, it's that moment where everything can change. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, well, I don't know what has changed, Amanda, over the last 40 days. But I'm going to try to just piece together for you what I believe has been happening. And remember, time is not linear, so we can still go back and be able to experience the energy of these last 40 days, even if you've been completely unaware of them. So where to start? The first thing to say is this 40 days energy. We know that Jesus was tempted by the devil, so I'm just reading here, in the wilderness, and then he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Moses was also on the mountain for 40 days, and during the flood of Noah, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. So there's a lot of symbolism about the number 40. And I think, again, in hindsight, what's happened with this Venus retrograde is just the power of that number has really compounded it. And maybe also we were just ready for this particular moment to be able to look at ourselves. The hardest thing that most people find in life is to truly be able to look at themselves, to be able to accept themselves, to be able to value themselves. And so when we inch closer to that day and that moment when we can, it is a momentous thing. This is a little bit tied into the last video that I put out, a very short little video where I was talking about self-worth and insights that I'd received around it. I'll tag it below if you didn't see that one, but I don't want to go over old ground with that. There's a lot I want to get through on this, so I'm just going to see where I want to start with it all. Okay, I think one thing that's interesting actually is with regards to doing the work on ourselves, I think it's human nature to sometimes want proof. You know, proof is in the pudding that something actually has changed. Of course, the main proof in the pudding is when maybe you don't react to something in the same way, or whether you actually instigate something which is a substantial change to the way you had been doing life up to that moment in time, that signals to the universe, I am ready, I have evolved, I do see myself in a different light, I do value myself more, and this is the thing that shows it. And that can be varied. That can be many different things for many different people. It could be that you're drawing a line in the sand with regards to maybe toxic relationships that you've had with others. It could be the big relationship, linked into maybe a partner that you're with, where you're realizing that you have been undervalued, maybe for years, months, weeks, whatever it is. And it's not changing. It's not going to change. Maybe you've learnt everything that you could have learnt from that relationship. And maybe it is time to move on if everything has been learnt, as I say, from the relationship that you're meant to be in. I'm not encouraging you to leave something just for the sake of leaving. It has to be right for you, and only you know your circumstances. But this whole thing about Venus in retrograde, Venus is linked into our relationships. It's linked into our relationship with others. It's also linked into our relationship with ourself. And ultimately, all change really starts when we change the relationship that we have with ourselves to be a more loving, accepting version of who we are. So the proof is actually in the actions. Are you actually going to instigate something or do something that is different? But also sometimes we can get those little signs from spirit that are cool as well. And I will just show you a little sign from spirit that's cool. So I've been going through this thing about valuing myself more, valuing my work more and what I offer. And absolutely, I am going to be offering a membership after Easter. It will hopefully be up and live. This will be in addition to the free work that I put out on YouTube. That's never going to change. I will still always be here on YouTube, delivering free content for you. But I definitely have got to a place where I'm realizing that some people are not valuing the material, and a little bit of it is going to go behind a paywall for people that want to support my work in that way. I talked all about that in the last video, so I'm not going to go over that. That's just one action that for me isn't a shame. You know, some people say, oh, what a shame. No, it's not a shame. For me, I'm celebrating it. It's got very little to do with money. It's to do with me finally realizing actually what you do is good. If people aren't valuing it, then some parts of it are going to go somewhere where it is going to be appreciated more, that type of thing. But in terms of the cool things that Spirit also shows you, I think I have shown you this crystal before. It's actually one from Judy Hall's collection. Many of you will know Judy Hall. She was an absolute expert in her field, excuse the pun, in relation to crystals. She died fairly recently, and I bought this crystal. It's one of hers, and it's called what is it called? It's called Green Ridge Quartz with iron. So you'll see the quartz in the center, but it's sort of surrounded by iron. And I was told that when the iron starts to crumble off naturally, not when you've dunked it in water or dropped it on the floor or anything like that, just when it naturally starts to crumble away from the quartz itself, it's an indication that you are starting to release some of these walls that you've built up around yourself, which have been protective maybe in nature, but are about also, it's like scaffolding that you've needed up to this point in time because you're not feeling maybe strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet. Putting it, that's one analogy. So I went to pick up this crystal after this profound period over the last couple of weeks, and it literally just started to crumble in my hand. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but just little bits of iron that are just falling off it and crumbling away to nothing. And I just really laughed when I saw that, because I just remembered the words, which was like, when the iron starts to crumble, you're on the right track, basically. Anyway, but that's just for me. That's just one little piece of proof that I had. But more than anything, the proof is when you start to feel differently about yourself and valuing what it is that you have to offer. So in this video, I would like to take you back to the wounds that you might be carrying. Where are these roots? Where are these patterns? Where did it start with you not valuing your voice, your presence, what it is you have to offer, your skill, your very beingness, which is completely unique. Nobody else can be you. And where did the rot set in, basically, where for whatever reason you started to undervalue yourself? That's what this 40 days and nights was, I think. Very much about reflecting on what happened, where did it maybe go awry or wrong, and more importantly, how we can correct it, what steps we can take to show to the universe and others and ourselves that I am worthy, okay, that I am precious, because you all are. And when we look around the world, really, we just see such woundedness, and we see so much hate and judgment that's out there. And I think sometimes people hide their talents and their skills because they are frightened of that aspect of the world. And so, it is a bit like Daniel going into the lion pit. But of course, Daniel discovered he did have the strength, and that came very much from God, higher source, higher self, all of that. But it's absolutely a journey to get to that place where you can look the bear in the eye and know that you are capable of anything that's thrown at you. As I say, let's not get carried away. This is not utopia. We haven't reached the peak of the mountain, because even if we did, there would then be another mountain to climb. But hopefully we're just doing well in terms of breath by breath, step by step, growing more and more in confidence, so that we don't need all of the scaffolding around us. We don't need the stabilizers on the bike anymore. We know that we can just get out there in the world or deliver whatever it is we're meant to deliver in our own unique way. You might be a musician, you might be a writer, you might be a business person, you might be a great parent, you might be this, you might be that. I don't know, there are so many different connotations. One of the most beautiful things, I really hope you're watching this video. I'm not going to say your name, but it looked like you were a young guy, okay, certainly younger than me, young guy, following me on Instagram. And the video that I put up before last on YouTube was me at the end of a bad day, no makeup, I'd just scrubbed my face, had a bath, lighting was terrible, didn't look my best, didn't care, because it was about the message. And then I did a follow-up video on Instagram just with some of the flack that had come from the fact I had dared to show my face not looking perfect. And we discussed that. And this young guy, he said, thank you for that video, because for the first time I think he'd put like a unfiltered or unedited selfie up of himself, just showing the world, this is who I am. This is my authentic self. This is the card from the Metatron deck. This is my authentic self. And not being frightened or scared of any backlash that comes from people who want to put us down. And what it showed to me is that I think this thing about others wanting to dim our light in some way or stop us from scaling the heights that we're able to achieve in life, whatever it is that you're trying to do, or even just to stand strong as a human being in your own right, and you have an opinion on something, whatever it is. When we put another down, we're not actually just putting that other down. What we're doing is we're putting the whole collective down. It really struck me that I hadn't appreciated that simple act, for example, of just showing up, warts and all, this is what I look like, which I do from time to time on social media anyway. It wasn't the first, but that had an impact on somebody who needed to see that. And it seems to be tied into all of this, because it was very much about, I don't care what I look like, because I was valuing myself in that moment. I do value myself in that moment. I see my worth. And okay, you know, I like makeup and pretty clothes and jewelry and all of that, and that will never change. But I like all aspects of who I am, or at least I try to. I have my moments and wobbles like everybody, of course, but you get my drift. So never be afraid to show the world who you really are. And the more of us that can do that, the better, because it balances out in this Libran full moon. It balances out all those other hateful, judgmental voices that are trying to not just bring us down, they bring the whole collective down. We've really got to be watching our mouth, watching all our senses, so that we are hopefully speaking from love, seeing through eyes of love, hearing with love, feeling with love, as much of the time as we can. That is the fifth dimensional energy. Anyhow, what else have I written down here? I'm going to go back to the actual wound then. This thing about self-worth and where it lies in the body. It's interesting because I think from a colour therapy perspective, often when we talk about self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth as well, there are two colours that often will come to mind. Number one is yellow or gold, which is linked into the solar plexus energy and the sunshine, which makes us all feel better. Think about a plant. A plant has to have sunshine and that golden light to grow. So the golds, the yellows, yes. Also pink. Pink is a colour vibration which is about the energy of love. So, of course, self-worth is linked into the energy of love. Do we love ourselves enough? Do we have high regard for ourselves, etc.? So it would be pink and yellow. But I wasn't shown that to start with. I was actually shown red, deep red. I would almost like to say blood red, you know, really, well, almost like the colour of this crystal, really, which is, it almost reminds me, I've been very drawn over the last few weeks to Sedona and the beautiful mountains there, that type of red, that deep, dusky, earthy red. And it's a base chakra wound, ultimately. This thing about self-worth, it seems to absolutely start at the base chakra. Because the base chakra, if you remember, is linked into our relationships with ourselves, yes, with others, yes, with money, yes, with health, yes. It's all about the relationships we have with other things, including the earth, of course. So another card from the Metatron deck that I've shown you many times and will probably continue to show you many times more is this one. And this is the card of priorities, okay, the card of priorities. And it's based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we will see that, of course, the bottom of the pyramid, the bottom of the triangle, is the red zone. We're in the red zone when we are in a 40-day period of struggling with feelings linked into not being worthy or not having value. Where did that stem from? Who was it who first made you feel as though you weren't worthy or valued? For some people, it might go back to a parental wound. A parental wound is very common. It could go back to a schooling issue. I know for me, schooling issue is a huge, big thing. And maybe I'll talk about that another day. I don't want this video to become about me, but schooling, I talk about that because schooling is one of those first times where as human beings we're graded. We have a value placed upon us, that you are worthy of being in the top set because you are the brightest of the brightest, all of that, and unless you have a teacher that actually is able to spot something in you and say, well, okay, you might not be very good at that, but you're brilliant at this, you're a brilliant sportsman, or you're an amazing artist, or have you ever thought of doing a scholarship linked into music? It doesn't just have to be about academia, but of course, as we know, the way that the matrix and the world has been set up to now, you have to be excelling in particular subjects, which are important, of course they are, but it's where grades first come in and value is placed on you. And a value was placed. I will just say this because it is important, because I can hear people straight away wanting to come back at me saying, oh yeah, but grades are important. I know that, but it's what you do with the grade. Because age 11, I was the youngest in my year. And when I went up to what we call secondary school here in the UK, because I was the youngest in my year, I was behind in maths and French, I think it was. It was particularly maths, which was the problem. And they put me into the lowest set available, F. I remember it to this day. They called out every single... we were all standing in the hallway waiting to go into our classes in the new day of new school. And it was A. And all the kids who were in A went off. B. C, D. By the time it got to D, I was thinking, oh my God, this is embarrassing. I've been left off the list, because I knew that I wasn't bottom of the pile. Not that there's anything wrong with being on the bottom of the pile, but I knew I wasn't that. Anyway, got to F. There was a few stragglers left in the hall. I was one of them. And they called my name. And I was literally just like, I can't believe that. What? Has some mistake been made? My dad, bless him, stormed off down to the school, the next day. Why I'm telling you this is that two things happened. One was spirit-led, the other was myself. And of course, both are entwined, but it's a good story that illustrates what I'm trying to say here. It's what you do with the stamp that's been placed upon you. Because number one, I made a decision on that day that I was placed in F that I was not there. That was not me. And I was going to climb my way up. And I would have done. But what actually happened was my dad was moved to a different part of the country with his job, went to a new school, they dropped me down a year, and then I flew. So it just took one action. Was it my spirit? Was it spirit? Because 11, Metatron. Was it my dad? Was it my higher self? Was it also the headmaster at the new school in Yorkshire that saw that she's not going to be able to cope in that year because she's so young? Drop her down a year and she'll fly. And that's what I did. And it was only when I then went on to get a degree in my 20s and I got a very good class degree, I remember thinking that is the moment where I can put this behind me, that I'm not that label that they said to me. I am intelligent, I am bright. I just had a problem at age 11. So why am I telling you all that? I'm telling you that because the thing about self-worth and self-value is you either can sync with how you're feeling about yourself or what somebody has said about you. Imagine you're in like a toxic marriage and you've been told you're worthless, you're this, you're that. You either start to think it and become it, and just accept that that's your lot in life, that you are this shitty person and it's all your fault the whole time, and you're ugly and you're this and you're that, and the reason that they are like they are is because of you. You either start to accept that and just think, okay, well, that is my lot in life, or somehow you climb your way out of the barrel. In the same way that I did with the educational example, but I was also helped by other people, but I also think by my own higher self, actually, because I'm going to place myself central there. And now I'm recognizing how powerful I was as an 11-year-old girl to bring in all those different circumstances that were going to change it overnight. Well, pretty much overnight. Yeah. In the same way you can if you're in a relationship, as I've just described, where you are just sinking lower and lower. Okay. So, yeah, relationships that we have with self, priorities, where are you placing yourself, or where has somebody else placed you? Okay. What has the last 40 days brought up for you? Has it brought up challenges within your relationships? It may very well have been that, and including the one with yourself, hasn't been an easy ride because, and I'm going to use myself as the example here just to teach you, even though I know I've healed that 11-year-old girl thing that I had going on within myself, other things that were happening now in my 50s had started to sort of tweak it a little bit, ping it a little bit. Like, are you really healed? Are you really healed? We're just going to poke you a little bit. We're going to poke you and see, whether all the roots are really out. And then you think, oh, actually, no, it still hurts a bit, actually. I am still hurt by whatever that behaviour is, or that's bringing back a memory of that time. So it's been a beautiful opportunity to go back and have a look at that. And what Metatron's saying to me that we can do is it's almost like, see yourself a bit like a business. I know it sounds a bit weird, but if you are in business, like I'm in business, what you will do, whether you actually physically do it or it's just in your head, mine is in my head, I have a mission statement in terms of what I believe my business is about. I also have a mission statement in my head with regards to what I believe my soul contract is in terms of why I came here with regards to different aspects of my life. I know why I'm here. I know what I'm meant to be doing. So this is a time whereby you can write a mission statement with regards to who you are, what you believe, what you're willing to put up with, and what you're willing to let go. Back to the crumbling crystal, back to the crumbling iron. It's literally just dropping off as I'm speaking to you. And actually, if we look at this crystal, which, I bought this, yes, I bought it for myself, but a lot of my crystals are also linked into my collective work. But, there's a great big lump of iron there attached to this beautiful crystal. So that's quite a big lump of something. I'm talking about a wound or I think that has to be collective. I don't believe that's all my stuff. But, even if it was, I wouldn't be ashamed of that, because this is the other thing. Shame can be part of why we don't value ourselves for some reason. We feel ashamed. We feel, or somebody has shamed us. A couple of cards which I thought were very beautiful, which I've been working with over the last few weeks, I want to show you, are from an inner child deck, actually. And I am going to recommend a few of our aura sprays to you for those of you that want to carry on with this work, because even though Venus is now going direct, even though we've got the full moon in Libra that's hopefully going to balance us out a little bit, we've still got Easter to get through, and let's be honest, we're all a work in progress. Okay, we're all a work in progress. There's always more to be done. But I do feel as though a lot of this is inner child rooted, linked into not valuing ourselves. So the pink ray, well, let me just do this now before I forget, actually. When I was talking about base chakra wounding, the spray that we have and the colour, look at that colour. Is that not gorgeous? That is just beautiful. That almost looks like cherry red, actually, in this light. We call it crimson, and it is the base root chakra spray linked into Archangel Metatron's energy. And this will help to sort the men out from the boys, I'm hearing. That's just an analogy here, What is in your life that you want to take with you going forward? And this includes parts of your mindset, behaviours, things that you do, things that you offer, and what is going to be let go of. But yeah, crimson base chakra is also to do with just putting your roots down, deep, deep down into Mother Earth, and feeling her support and knowing that you are allowed to grow. Think of yourself, I often use the analogy of you being like a plant or a flower or a tree, and effectively, allow yourself as the tree or the plant or the flower to grow how he or she wants to. It's almost as though, I don't know whether this happens in other countries, but it's a very British thing. topiary bushes, you know. So my dad used to do it actually as a little girl. We had a little, almost like a maze in our front garden with box hedge. You know, box hedge, I can still smell it now. And he trimmed it into neat little rows. But the point I'm making is, you as the flower or the plant, don't let somebody else mould you into that hedge having to look like, I don't know, a peacock or a whatever, or this or that. Allow it just to grow how it wants to grow. And to express itself how it wants to express, without fear of, I don't know, what is the fear that lies the other side of it? If you were to grow and you were to evolve and you were to show the world who you really are, what is that fear? Let's get it all out. You know, it's like guts and gore time here. This is the bloody energy we're dealing with. This is blood stuff. It's muscle stuff. I realise what I'm saying. I don't want to keep going on about myself here, but it's just, to be honest, my body has been a great teacher over the last couple of weeks. I am literally having cranial sacral therapy. I'm having chiropractic treatment. It's all been about working on the muscles, the pressure points, the fascia. Craniosacral therapy is about the fascia within the body, the muscles that store the stories. They've got the stories of everything that we've told ourselves, everything that other people have told ourselves. This is a period of time which is about allowing that to surrendering, basically, relaxing and letting it go. And this is just such a perfect card. Look at this card that I got. But it's not just for me. I know this is not just me. Please tell me this is not just me. I know it's not just me. I know I'm talking to loads of you. Look at that card. Who can relate to that? Tight, it says. Tight. And it came with this card, the card of beliefs. You see those cards? Gorgeous, aren't they? I'll link them below. They're made by a lady called Natasha, I believe, and they're called the Playful Healing cards. Look, it's so perfect. Our beliefs, and what we're doing is we're holding on tight to them. And then what does the body do? The body shows the tightness. It's like, oh, actually I'm feeling a bit stiff here. I'm like, oh, I can't move. Oh, I've got a pain here. Your body is screaming at you to release these old beliefs of what you think you couldn't do, or you weren't good enough. Who told you weren't good enough? Who told you weren't good enough? The truth is that we will be told we're not good enough. We live in a world where lots of people love to do that, especially if you're on social media. But the point is, are you going to listen to that? Are you going to integrate that? Are you going to believe that? Or are you going to be able to throw it off? Okay. Throw it off. I know easier said than done, but I do think that this is the reason why we've got this card of tight. So you've got to be doing something to just be letting that go. Stretching, I don't know, Tai Chi, whatever it is that you're doing, swimming, moving, keeping fluid, allowing the body to express itself and release. Especially in Easter week. This is such a profound period of time that we're in. So base chakra spray, crimson, I'll put that below. The other two that I've been working with, I told you about the Rose Inner Child, but the other one that I thought was obvious really was Archangel Chamuel. And the reason I say Archangel Chamuel, not just because it's a pink bottle, but because Chamuel is about our relationships. It actually says love and peace, relationship support. And I have to be honest, when we first created this spray and, you know, trying to come up with a name, and I was looking at all of Chamuel's beautiful qualities and what do we call it? And I think it was me. I think it was me that came up with relationship support, or Tracy. One of us did. I think it was me. It doesn't matter who it was. It's a joint thing. But the point was, in my head, I was thinking relationship support in terms of external relationships. Chamuel can help us with our relationship with our parent, with our child, with our partner, with our boss, with what? Hello? What about the relationship you have with yourself? What about the relationship you have with yourself? And calling in Archangel Chamuel to help you with that. So, and again, it's the pink ray. do we love ourselves enough to allow Chamuel in to help us with the relationship with ourselves? And, you know, it smells absolutely extraordinarily beautiful. It's lovely. It's the pink ray. It's like enveloping me in this beautiful, I don't know, like marshmallowy, beautiful, soft energy. So it's a comforter as well as a support. But equally, it's comforting and it's like a shock absorber, because you're being asked to examine some deep truths you have within yourself, which can be very uncomfortable. Why have I allowed, for example, myself to give my power away? Is a question you could ask yourself, yeah? Why do other people's opinions about me matter? They don't. They don't. Or they shouldn't do. But equally, that is a whole journey in itself. And absolutely, have most of us worried about what other people think? 100% yes. But we're getting to a point in time, particularly with self-mastery and sovereignty, where we have to be letting that go. I can't remember who said it, but there's the thing about it was always between me and God anyway. That's the truth of it. That's what I believe as well. Whatever anybody thinks about me or you is for them to think. It was always between me and God anyway. That is the truth. And Chamuel is sort of the bridge that helps us to understand all of that as well. So it's a very big support. And then, of course, the Rose Inner Child spray as well. So I'll link those below, and that's also on the pink ray. I might weave them in a bit again later on in this video, but I've got a few other things I wanted to talk about. And I think I'll pull some cards at this point as well. Okay. What else have I written down here? People pleasing, keeping the peace at your own expense, letting others get away with it, putting up with it. Okay. I talk about boundaries a lot, and I think boundaries are hugely important, particularly tied into valuing yourself. People with weak boundaries are just allowing themselves, others, free rein, really, to take a pop. Metatron years ago, and I've said this to you before, but you remember it for yourself as well. It's not just for me. He said, don't let other people use you as a dartboard. And what he meant by that is if someone comes in and does something really unpleasant, particularly online, they do it once, they're going to do it again. Don't allow that. Delete, block. You know, and it's like, oh, but I can't do that. I can't block anybody, because then what would people think? It's called self-preservation. It's called boundaries. It's called respecting yourself enough to not put up with other people's unhealed wounds, okay, and projected shadows, because that's what it is 99% of the time. But think about it in your own life. You don't have to be online. We all can be wounded by other people's unhealed wounds and projected shadows, unless we have some type of protection in place. And I've talked about that many times on this channel. I will do an updated video on spiritual protection soon, because I've got a little bit more I want to say about it. But just in a nutshell, yeah, armour of God, putting that on, working with the energy of Archangel Michael and the blue ray, the gold ray of Christ, calling in your, or invoking the energy of Merkaba, using crystals, you know, whatever your methodology is, protection and boundaries go hand in hand in my book. The thing about boundaries as well, we have got a boundaries card in the Metatron deck. The Metatron deck truly is a great deck. I know many of you have got it, but particularly for this subject, I could almost pick virtually any card from this deck and they would all be appropriate. But this is the card of boundaries. And I remember writing the channeled words they came through. It was to do with, you've got to literally almost rewrite or reassert your boundaries daily, because people will always try and take advantage of them, or try and sort of, it's interesting on this card, the boundary is a hedge. I was talking about hedges earlier. A hedge, people try and burrow underneath the hedge, or, you know, can you make an exception for me because your boundary is really about other people, not me, isn't it? No, my boundary is my boundary. You know, so what are you allowing into your energy field? What are you allowing into your life? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you allowing? So that's, again, just another question linked into all of this. And yeah, the card says boundaries, set them daily. Set them daily. Okay. Another card I wanted to bring up from the not Christ Consciousness deck. Obviously, there's a card from there that wants to come in. I'll do that in a minute. This is the Metatron deck again. This is the Cosmos. The Cosmos mirrors you. So with regards to self-worth, I mean, God, I have learnt this the hard way, and I'm sure many of you have, and God, it's tiresome. And are we not bored of this pattern? The pattern we're bored of is the universe mirroring to us that actually we are only worth that. You know, that if we're putting up with it, if we haven't got our boundaries in place well enough, if we don't think we're good enough, that other people are somehow must be so much better than we are at doing something. What have I got to add to the equation? Oh yeah, you're saying that to the universe, are you? The universe will give you a great big dollop of confirmation that you are that. Shall we change the language? Shall we change the language? Let the language be, I have something wonderful to offer this world. I have something unique to offer this world. My presence brings something to this world. You send that out into the universe. Wow, what you get back is extraordinary, because you then find the people who do see your worth, okay? And it's going to manifest however it's going to manifest in your life. We all have different paths, but it will happen. It will happen. I'm seeing one of you in my mind's eye. I won't say your name, but it's a piece of artwork you've just created. Someone's going to see the worth of that, as long as you maintain that it's worth the price tag you've put on it. Or I'm now seeing somebody who's written a piece of music and you're doubting that anyone's going to like it. You've got to, if that's what you think, that is there a market for it? Oh, well, everyone's listening to AI generated music now. That's what they want. No, they don't actually. No, they don't. But, you know, if you send that out to the universe, that's what the universe is going to show you. We have to stand in our power, that I make extraordinary music, that I produce brilliant artwork, that I have got a great business idea. Most of the great business ideas out there, they came from a little spark of creativity, of insight and idea. And I mean, obviously, common sense comes into it as well. There has to be, you know, a degree of common sense also in this. You know, if you create something which is absolutely ridiculous and just spend 70 years of your life believing in it and it's not happening, well, maybe it's not meant to happen. But, you know, let's get the balance right here. You know, if it is basically a good idea, it is basically a good song, it is basically a good piece of art, or much better than that, you know, not just basically, yeah, there'll be a market for it. So there's a market for everything at the end of the day. So remember that, my friends. Remember that the cosmos mirrors you. You see, these concepts that we talk about in spiritual circles, manifestation, mirroring, it's almost like they can be very like floaty and up there, and then we forget to apply them in our everyday life, particularly with regards to how we feel about ourselves. Okay. I'm also a big one with regards to fake it till you make it. And what I mean by that is that we all have to start somewhere. So in the middle of a transformative journey where it's almost like all the balls have been thrown up in the air and you are doubting yourself, you are questioning yourself, maybe you're feeling depressed or sad or angry or tearful, whatever's happening with regards to whatever's being triggered within you in terms of these patterns that you're holding on to so tightly. Fake it till you make it. What I mean by that is affirming to yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror, just speaking to yourself kindly, that I am getting there, even though you feel as though you aren't. That's what I mean by fake it till you make it, because the universe will respond to what you're saying to it. So really watch our mental processes and the voice that we've had going on within ourselves for probably decades. There is an opportunity here for that voice to change to a more gentle, soft, loving one. And I suspect many of you are beautiful people to others, but not kind to yourself. Moon in Libra, let's get that balance back, shall we, please? To try to also be kind to self, be loving to self, to treat yourself as you would another, So, that's that. I did say Christ consciousness, didn't I? So let's see what wants to come out of the Christ consciousness deck. One of the energies that I still feel as though I've got in town, and it hasn't left, is we're in the year of the... Well, I'm not saying I'm not tuning into the year of the wood snake, which is what we're in, and I've spoken about that in other videos. And yeah, the Chinese year of the wood snake is great because we are shedding skins, and it's perfect. It all ties into what I'm saying. But I've still also got the energy of the wood dragon, which was last year's energy. And, the wood dragon was about luck, success, growth and power. And I just love the fact that they feel as though they've really weaved together very nicely, these two energies, the wood dragon and the wood snake. Because the snake shedding its skin has to believe that it's going to be successful, has to believe that even though the new skin might be quite tender and vulnerable, that it can grow in power and be successful. So those of you that work with archetypal energies linked into, for example, Chinese astrology, remember the power of the wood dragon. And yeah, we did bring out a wood dragon spray last year, and I'm still using it, actually. I'm finding it still very beneficial. Hasn't really gone anywhere. So, right, I'm just shuffling the Christ consciousness deck. So tied into what we're talking about here then, is there anything particularly that wants to come out? Oh, how perfect. Oh, duh, why didn't I think of this? Okay, we're in Easter week. We're in Holy Week. I will be doing a video linked into Easter for you before Easter. This card is the cross, but it's not the cross as you might have seen it in many churches up and down the lands over many years. Can you see that? Is that not? Hopefully that's now showing it properly. So what we've got here is a cross with the risen cloth on it, showing that Jesus is resurrected, but also we've got the poppies of war and the poppies of peace, both growing beside each other. It says, relieving suffering, move beyond pain. Easter week is such a powerful time for you to really be listening to what I've been saying in this video, to setting down your burden in the same way that Jesus did on the cross. Okay, so what is your burden? And by burden, I'm talking about patterning. Back to this. What are you holding on tightly to because you're identifying with it? This ties very much into the Archangel Metatron healing work that I teach people about. And those of you that have done those courses with me, the level 1 and level 2, I talk about removing the story from the body. Removing the story from the body. This is exactly where we're at with this card. Let it go. That I'm not worth that, or I can't do it, or others are better, or somehow I've just got to keep on giving and giving and giving and giving. And what's that about? People pleasing? Ego stroking? I've no idea. You've got to ask yourself with that. But definitely this Libran energy of balance, getting the balance right. For me, absolutely identifying with overdoing, overgiving. And I see now it was absolutely linked back to that little girl, age 11, who was told she wasn't ever going to amount to anything. And so what I've done, I realise, is I've I did it even before age 11. I've always worked hard. I've always worked hard, really, really hard. Like many of you. I'm not saying I've worked any harder than any of you. I'm sure many of you have worked a damn sight harder than me and been down a mine or something, or heavy manual work. That's bloody hard work. But I've worked hard in my own way, put the hours in. And it's almost just this realization that you've got to where you are now, Amanda. You can take your foot off the brake. You can, you're still going to be respected. Those that respect you are still going to respect you. You don't have to flog your guts out. All of that, getting the balance right. What's that Depeche Mode song? Get the balance right. Get the balance right. And what is that song? Maybe it is Get the Balance Right. I don't know. I love Depeche Mode. But yeah, bring in a bit of music if you need to sort of lighten the load. Somehow we have got to let go of these patterns. And this is the point in the video where people say, tell us how. Tell us how. More than anything, what I'm going to say to you is, yes, healing modalities can help you. I teach a modality called Metatron Colour Healing. The sprays are healing tools. The crystals that I've got around me are healing tools. Going to a chiropractor is part of the healing. I'll tell you about that in a moment. And other modalities, it's all good. But the main thing that's healing myself, because these are just agents that help me to release or let go or welcome in, the main thing that's healing myself is myself. Let me repeat that. The main thing that is healing myself, is sitting with myself, is observing myself, is reflecting on myself. Only I know my journey. Only you know your journey. Only you really know what you've gone through. Only you have ever lived in your head. Only you have ever lived in your body and noticed its patterns and how it feels, whether it's anxious, whether it's tired, whether it's this, whether it's that. No one else can tell you that. They can tune into it, sure, but you know it deeper than anybody else. So tools are great, and I'm all for having a toolbox. I always will have a toolbox. But the main agent of change is yourself and your own power to be able to notice what is discordant, what is out of balance, what is hurting you, and then it's for you to decide, am I going to do anything about that? Am I going to still sit in the energy of just overgiving and overgiving and overgiving, for example, or taking the abuse from, I don't know, a destructive relationship or an abusive husband or whatever? I'm just going to keep taking it. Or am I noticing within my body that I can't take it anymore? That my mind is fried, my brain is fried, I can't do this. I'm maybe, I don't know what you're doing. Say you're in a toxic relationship and you're just turning to the bottle, or, you're smoking too much, you're vaping too much, you're drinking too much, anything to drown out sitting with self and feeling it. And when you feel it, that's when you heal it. I will tell you one story because it's appropriate at this point. So I said to you, I've been having chiropractic treatment and craniosacral treatment. Please don't tell me lots of other treatments I need. It's not what this video is about, because this video is about sovereignty and me listening to my body and you listening to your body. So what works for you isn't going to work for me. And I'm not telling you to go and have craniosacral therapy. I'm not telling you to have chiropractic treatment. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just telling you my story. But it's an interesting part of the story, this. And I think it illustrates something important. So I had about 6-8 sessions of chiropractic treatment for something that's been flaring up on my left-hand side, which is all to do with receiving and giving, over-giving. And it was really painful. Well, I wasn't getting anywhere with it. In fact, every session seemed to be making it worse. So I changed tactics, and I've gone now and having craniosacral therapy. The first session I had, wow, what a difference. I'm not saying the pain's all gone, it hasn't. But this was the analogy I was given. So I'm not dissing chiropractic treatment here. Please don't think I'm doing that. It's just an analogy for me and my body and where I'm at. The chiropractic treatment felt like I was poking the bear. I'm the bear, poking the bear, whilst the bear was trying to settle. So this softer treatment that I'm having now is helping to settle the emotions and balance it all out. And then maybe I can go back in and be poked in those places and it won't hurt so much. But you've got to have the balance of lots of different modalities, or that doesn't mean you've got to spend lots of money on different treatments, because, okay, I'm lucky to be able to afford these things. I know not everybody can. But where there's a will, there's a way, is what I'm hearing, because Metatron's showing me the energy of bartering. You might be in a community where you can barter, that somebody has got something that they can offer that can help you with your release and your healing, and you can offer something to them, because don't you value yourself enough to have something to offer back? But it has to be equal exchange. It has to be equal exchange. Otherwise it doesn't work. Okay, otherwise it doesn't work. There was something else that was coming through there. And Metatron is also saying to people, with limited funds, for example, that the best healing medicine is also outside your front door. Okay, and that's true for all of us. To get out in the sunshine, to help to let nature heal you in the way that only she can. To take charge of things such as diet, to take charge of your exercise regime, to take charge of your life, basically. Taking charge of the external manifestations of your life helps you to take charge of the inner world as well. None of this is easy. I know it's not easy. I'm just sharing my journey so far because hopefully it will help other people. But this is really what I feel has been going on. And we've got, as I say, Easter week coming up, the crucifixion energy. I've done work on this years ago, which was to do with moving beyond the horror of the crucifixion to the liberation and freedom energy of the risen world. I want to put it in that way. For you to rise, I, over the last couple of months have put some work out linking into the old version of you going offline. Remember me talking about that? And the new version wanting to come on the pitch. Well, the old version of me feels like they've been stretching off. I'm being serious. It feels like they've been stretching off. Given the smelling salts, they're doing fine. But there is a newer version of me on the pitch. I think that's probably apparent, but and if not, it will become apparent. As she said, choking. No, I'm just being silly. But I've still got work to do, like all of you have got work to do. I'm not the finished article. I never will be, because none of you will be either, because we're human beings. We're meant to come here to learn as much as we can. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. It's as simple as that. If we didn't have stuff to work on. But these feel like momentous days. Let's just see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Let me pull one more card. Pull a card from here, maybe. Inner child related. Something here about the voice. You see, I think this is linked into, I've got my own rhythm, okay. See that? My own rhythm. See that? My own rhythm. On the back, it says, my pace, my heartbeat, my individuality, unique, my timing. Finding my own rhythm. Not beating to other people's drums. You see that card? You see, we beat to other people's drum. We've got to beat to our own drum. We've got to find our own rhythm. In a world which is all about algorithms. Yeah? It's all about algorithms. You've got to do this. You've got to look this way. You've got to say this. You've got to turn up here. You've got to do this. Well, I've always been a bit of a wild child. I've never done that. I've never done that. No, I won't go into that, but there are things I've said no to which might surprise you, actually, in terms of things that could have advanced my career. I'm not talking about sex, by the way. I'm talking about contracts. Just bang your own drum, basically. You've got to go at your own rhythm. I love that. My pace, my heartbeat, my timing. I really like that. My pace, my heartbeat, my timing. You see, if you look at Gaia at the moment, Mother Earth, her heartbeat's a bit all over the place. It's the Schumann resonance is doing all sorts of somersaults and blips and this and that, and she's finding her own pace. We're evolving, we're upgrading. She's finding her own rhythm. Earthquakes, floods, fires, she's finding her own pace. Whatever happens, whatever you believe is the cause of all of that, she's going to find her own pace. She's going to find her own pace. You have to find your own pace. You have to find your own rhythm in this changing, volatile, uncertain world. And not be so rocked by everything that's going on out there, or everything that's being said about whatever or to you. Find your own pace, find your own rhythm. It's about finding that within your body as well. So I do feel as though particular physical arts can help us at this time. I have to be honest, I'm champing at the bit a bit. No, I'm not champing at the bit. I'm doing the opposite. I have a resistance. I'm feeling tight with regards to I don't want to do that. My chiropractor gave me all these stretching exercises to do. I don't want to do it. I'm just being honest. I don't want to do it. But what is that? Is that the 58-year-old evolved Amanda speaking? Or is that a much younger child speaking? It's a much younger child speaking. Why is she speaking like that? Well, that's for me to know and you to guess. But my inner child that's doing that is absolutely mirroring a lot of yours. I'm sure of it. We get stuck at we get stuck with regards to certain ages, certain things that have been said to us, certain things that have been expected of us. I'm hearing that very strongly, particularly those of us that have maybe had to grow up too quickly. Maybe we had parents that were, or a parent that we had to take on the role of parent for, let's put it that way. Or maybe you had to grow up in other ways with regards to horrible things that might have happened to you. So many different ways it can play out. But, you had to grow up before your time. You had a lot of responsibility, a lot of duty. Maybe you had to become a carer at a very young age, for a parent, or just something that happened. And so the child is like truculent. It's like, no, not doing it. I've already done enough. You wanted me to do that as well? Don't want to. And then it's almost like, as you would with a parent, because I'm a parent. I remember my girls as younger children. Even though we say we're not going to, it's almost this thing about, well, what can I tempt them with to get them to do it? Now, ultimately, what you're trying to entice yourself to do with regards to a new pattern is something that's healthy, not necessarily a chocolate bar or a big donut. Something else. What could you reward yourself with to do those exercises or do whatever else is going to help you in the long run? Because what we're really talking about here is self-sabotage. We can absolutely get into patterns of self-sabotage very easily. But when we have compassion for ourselves and understand why that might be happening, that you're not just an idiot, you're not just doing it to spite yourself for the sake of spiting yourself. You're doing it because there's a wound there. There's a wound there. Let's go into the Rose Inner Child Spray at this juncture with Archangel Metatron. So there's a wound there, the self-sabotage wound. I'm hearing straight away not being heard. Not being heard is a big one for many of us. It's interesting then, there's like a deafening silence. many of us maybe were silenced to a degree, told you can't say that, you can't do that. And then we live in a period of time, without getting too political about it, where we're being told we can't say certain things. You know, there's some very worrying stuff happening in the UK. With regards to being able to say certain things. There was a thing in the paper this week of a husband and wife who had just they were on WhatsApp, I think, and they were critical of a school's policy or something. They got dragged out of their house with armed cars, arrested. So back to what I was saying earlier about when we see one action or one judgment, whether it's from Joe Bloggs down the street or whether it's from the police turning up at your door, when you witness that, what it's actually trying to do is shut everybody's mouths. Yeah. So I'm glad that story came out and it's being reported, and that I believe Andrew Gold has just interviewed the father, I believe. Many of you might follow Andrew Gold. He's a podcaster, interviewer. Good guy, like him. He's just interviewed the father, so you could look for that, search for that. But yeah, what it does is it puts the fear of God into many other people. It's like, oh, maybe I better be careful of what I say now. I mean, I know that none of this is new, but it's interesting that the wound I was picking up linked into inner child was not being heard. And we're in a time now where we're worried about what we can say, what we can't say. So our inner child wound is being prodded there. I've got this card, Evolution, and this card, Shadow and Light. What do we call it? Transformation, light and dark. To me, it's Metatron is saying we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Whatever is going on out there in the collective, whatever is going on in your own inner world, past, present or future, we can evolve. We can birth the new. We can birth the new. We can transform something that is dark into light. Very much like Jesus did. So, I think I will leave it there for this video, and I hope that has helped you. I will be back before Easter with something themed around Easter, and then I will get the membership scheme going after Easter, try and get that live. But as I say, I will be still here on YouTube for everybody, free of charge. All you have to do is just subscribe. There's no charge for that. And the membership scheme is not going to be expensive, but it will just probably be something like maybe a live stream once a month or some discounts on various things. And I haven't really thought about it yet, but maybe I might do a weekly video or something. I'm not sure, or 2 videos a month. Don't know. I'm going to under-promise and over-deliver though. That's what I'm going to do. Anyway, that's for another day. Lots of love. I'm now going to go and have a nice big cup of coffee because I deserve it. And I hope that you do something today that you feel you deserve and that you put yourself first. And more than anything, you love yourself. That's where the seeds of growth and evolution truly start. Lots of love, everybody. Take great care. Bye-bye for now. Bye.